Today, let's talk about gear, but not just any gear. I want to share 10 pieces of filmmaking gear that I genuinely think can be helpful for any filmmaker and things that I wish I had bought way sooner. Most of them are cheap, others a little more expensive, but all of these things have changed my workflow for the better. I will have links to all the items I talk about down in the video description if you want to check them out, but let's not waste any more time and get right into it with number 1. Diopters. This is a piece of gear that once I discovered it, I've been super excited about it, and I think it has really made a huge impact on my work. In case you don't know what a diopter is, it's a piece of glass that you screw onto the front of your lens and it will improve the minimum focus distance. That means you're now able to get really up close to your subject. So it's basically making any lens into a macro lens. I've used these for at least 1 or 2 shots on all of my latest projects, and I also use them a lot for B-roll shots on the channel here as well. The reason being that it gives you a really unique perspective that helps add to your shot variety. It's a very different look than your standard close-up shot. It can make very boring and ordinary things look a lot more interesting because you're not used to seeing those things in normal life in that way. What's great about these is that they are incredibly cheap for the amazing look that you're getting out of them. You're basically getting that look of a much more expensive probe lens or other macro lens for only a fraction of the cost. So this gives you a nice bump in production quality for like 20 bucks, which is pretty cool if you ask me. Number 2, the Magic Arm Super Clamp Combo. This is another great tool to help immerse your audience into a shot by, for example, getting these types of POV shots. I think these look really cool and they're just another way of expanding your shot types. So it's basically a magic arm with a super clamp on one end and a 1/4 inch screw on the other end. You can attach your camera by screwing the 1/4 inch to any point on your camera cage, then put an object of your choice in the super clamp, and boom, you have a POV shot. Besides these POV shots, magic arms are also great for any kind of rigging, whether it be attaching smaller lights onto something, rigging a microphone or a monitor, or combined with a smartphone holder, rigging your phone onto something. Really, the use cases for these are endless and they're only 25 bucks. And number 3, diffusion silk. The one I have here is a 180 by 150 centimeter piece of nylon diffusion fabric made by Newer, and it costs about $20, but it doesn't necessarily have to be a piece of fabric like this. You could essentially just as well use a shower curtain or another light piece of white fabric. And why I love this is because it has a lot of possible use cases. You can use it to create a large soft light source by simply putting a light behind it and shooting your light through it. So if you don't have a big softbox, this could be an alternative. Even if you have a softbox, you could put this between your softbox and your subject to double diffuse the light and then create an even softer look on your subject. But also if you're working with natural light like from a window, you can put this in front of the window and it will diffuse the light coming from that window and create a much softer and pleasing look. Heck, you could even use this as bounce material if you needed to. So for the low cost of $20 and how small and lightweight this is, having this in your filmmaking kit is pretty much a no-brainer. Number 4, a 5-in-1 reflector. Now maybe you've seen one of these before, but a 5-in-1 reflector has, as the name suggests, 5 functions all packed into one. First of all, it's a diffuser, so if you remove the cover, you get a piece of semi-transmittent white material, and this diffuses your light as it passes through it. This then creates nice soft lighting and less harsh shadows. This can be especially handy if you're shooting outdoors in harsh sunlight. With the cover over it, you have a few different options to bounce light onto your subject. You have a white side, which is more of a neutral bounce, a silver side, which is a bit more intense and shiny, a gold side that'll get you a warmer bounce, and the black side to cut light or block light, for example, to create more shadow. So a 5-in-1 reflector like this has many use cases, and I especially like this one because of its size. It's 180 on 120 centimeters, which is awesome because you can use it for portraits, but also more like mid shots or even wider shots. And this is just a super good run and gun piece of gear to really quickly and easily get a more polished look to your shots. I can highly recommend getting one of these. They're like 50 bucks or so, and I think they're a very worthwhile investment. And number 5 is another tool that is super useful for shaping your light or adding control on lights. This is called cinefoil, and it's really nothing special. It's essentially just black tin foil, and you buy it on a roll, kind of like this one right here. I've used this to kind of create more of a spotlight effect on a light where I didn't have an actual spotlight or projector modifier available. You can just kind of wrap it around the reflector dish of your light, and that will reduce any spill and really create a nice spot of light. I also use it to, for example, reduce spill from other lights in certain directions. This stuff is super lightweight, so you can just tape a piece somewhere on the light, and that will make sure the light isn't spilling out in that direction. But also, for example, if you need to block out a part of a household lamp, let's say you don't want a practical to be hitting on the wall as much, you can just put a small piece of cinefoil behind it, and that will control that spill. So cinefoil is a super easy and versatile way to control your lights, and again, really affordable. A roll of cinefoil is like 40 or 50 bucks, and you can keep reusing any pieces that you cut off, so a roll of this will last you a very, very long time. Number 6. Clamps. One thing you can seemingly never have enough of on set are clamps. There's always something that you need to clamp somewhere, whether it be bounce material, some diffusion fabric, duvetine, or whatever it might be. You can find these in all kinds of different sizes depending on what you want to use them for. The best thing about these is that they are super cheap, especially if you find a nice deal somewhere. You can get a bunch of these for like 10 bucks or so. I, for example, got these from a local hardware store that had them on sale. But you can also find them on Amazon or your own local hardware store. And yeah, I don't know what else to say about these. They're clamps, they're great, so buy clamps. If you've ever wondered what it is that creates this certain distinct look in a lot of movies, then number 7 on the list can help you get very close to achieving that specific look. These are portable haze machines. Haze can be used to create what is called volumetric lighting, or simply put, light rays. Basically, the space between your light source and its destination is also being illuminated. That is because haze creates tiny particles in the air which reflect light. A subtle amount of haze or fog in a scene can also create a softer, more diffused look and add depth to your image. Subjects in the foreground that have less haze between the camera and the subject will have more contrast than something that is in the background that's being washed out by the thicker amount of haze. The cool thing about these smaller portable haze machines is, of course, that they are small and portable, but also that they are battery powered. Your typical haze machine is pretty big and bulky, especially for more run and gun filmmaking, plus it requires a power outlet. And I've got 2 of these here, one from Ulanzi and one from Lensgo, and they were both sent to me and they both pretty much work the same way. You basically put some haze liquid in the reservoir, then turn them on and push a button to release the haze. So they're kind of like one of those vape cigarettes but on steroids. After using both of these a few times, I think they're absolutely great to have and super convenient if you need to quickly haze up a smaller space. But I've even used them in semi-outdoor situations like in this underpass. Obviously, they're not ideal for outdoor areas or large spaces. So an important note on these, if you're doing like a full-on short film shoot or something where you're having to constantly haze up the room for an entire shoot day, you're gonna have to refill these quite often. So then it's probably better to get a proper haze machine. But for smaller productions or where you don't have any power outlets available or you just need to be quick, these things are amazing. The Lensgo Smoke K is only $79, and then you get a whole kit with some accessories to, for example, also create a dry ice effect. The Ulanzi costs a little bit more at $110, and you get pretty much an identical kit. I will say that the Ulanzi feels a bit better built. It has a built-in remote, a nicer control system with this small screen, and just seems a bit more of a polished product than the Lensgo. On to number 8. V-mount batteries. Now, for the longest time, I've been a little bit reluctant to use V-mount batteries, but over time, as my camera rig grew with more accessories being added onto it for certain projects, I felt the need for a better power solution. So apart from providing power to all your devices for longer, the fact that a V-mount battery can power all of these devices at once is in and of itself a huge benefit. It means you don't have to have individual batteries for your monitor, your lens control system, and your camera. This small rig VB99 would pretty much last me an entire day of shooting depending on the amount of devices. So I won't need a bunch of camera batteries that I'd have to swap out every few hours. And more importantly, I won't need a ton of NPF batteries because these generally don't last very long. If I do need even more juice, I would use this much larger SmallRig VB212, which is the one they produced in collab with Caleb Pike from DSLR Video Shooter. And this one has 212 watt hours of power, which will will really last you the entire day. Both of these small rig V-mount batteries have a nice display that will show you all the information you need to know about power remaining or how much power a device is using. Both the 212 and the 99 have a bunch of connection options like USB-C, USB-A, DC output, and D-tap. The 212 even has 2 D-tap ports. And there's so much value in not having to constantly swap batteries on set because they never die all at once. First it's the monitor, then it's the camera, next the monitor is dead again, and then the lens control battery dies. So having one big battery will just save you a bunch of time and stress while shooting. I will say these are not cheap, so they are a bit of an investment, but a very good one. The VB99 Pro is $250 and the VB212 is $440. But in comparison, a typical NPF battery is like 40 bucks, and if you want to be on the safe side for an entire shoot day, you probably need like 10 of those. Number 9 is something that maybe a lot of you guys already have, but I just had to put it in here because it's such an important staple in a camera equipment bag. It's this small rig multi-tool. If this is the first time you're seeing one of these, it's basically this really small multi-tool with 7 different tools. There's a flat head for screwing in things like tripod plates, 4 different Allen key sizes, a straight Phillips head, and a Torx T25 head. It also has these holes on the sides where you can temporarily store screws if you're changing accessories or anything like that. So instead of having a bunch of different tools for mounting or dismounting different camera accessories, it's nice to have them all together in this one small tool. You can get similar ones from different brands, but they're all about 20 bucks. And while we're on the topic of multi-tools, I really felt I needed to add this one as well. Number 10, a multi-tool. Now you might be thinking, what, another multi-tool? Well, the small rig multi-tool is a very camera specific tool, but when you're on set, you'll probably find yourself in a few situations where you're gonna need certain other tools. And a decent multi-tool should have at least a knife, some pliers, screwdrivers, and scissors. The one I have here is made by Leatherman, which are pretty well known for having high quality multi-tools. They also have different sizes with even more tools, but I find that this one is perfect for what I need. Okay, so there it is. Those are my 10 pieces of filmmaking gear that improved my work, and I can generally recommend them to anyone looking to upgrade their filmmaking kit. Definitely check out the links in the description if you're interested in getting any of these items. Thanks a lot for watching, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye!